Is that
Yeah.
the right one? Okay. Or you sure?
Start with that one, yeah.
You start with that one?
Mm-hmm.
So as I said last year, I told the Magic Pocket story. So I may tell that as a freebie later on, but I thought I'd start with fresh ones. And Bill's got lots of good stories. So I was hoping to tell the story of when Bill first met Morgan, but I think I need to save that one, or when I first met Morgan. But we'll wait for Morgan to be here because that story is really good. So I think I'll start with the first time I realized that Bill didn't think like normal people.
Oh, Bill.
So I came home from work kind of late at night, you know, probably 10:30, 11 o'clock, and opened my car door, and the cat got into the car. Which I thought was a little unusual, because usually the cat didn't like the car, you know, it hated the vet. And the cat looked like crap. I mean, really, his fur was all matted, and his ears were all flat, and there was some weird substance all over him that I really wasn't sure what it was. But he was quite upset, and he didn't want to leave the back of me, and certainly didn't want to go anywhere near Bill's room. So I figured something had happened. So the next morning I got up and I said, Bill, you know, what happened to the cat? Because the cat's kind of acting a bit weird and doesn't seem to want to have anything to do with you.
Yeah. Well, then a roomie flee.
And he was about, I guess Bill was probably about 4 or 5. And he said, Mom, he said, you know how you always say that cats always land on their feet? I'm like, yeah. And he said, and you know how you say that toast always lands butter side down? I'm like, yeah.
You didn't know.
Oh, I did.
I was like, okay, I'm not sure I get the connection. He said, well, I kept making pieces of toast in the toaster, buttering them with butter, and then sticking them on the cat. They didn't work very well with the twist ties or with the string, but the duct tape worked really good. And I was throwing them off the first floor balcony of the house. And he was so mad that the cat always landed on his feet. He was like, but you always say, Mom, toast lands butter side down. And it just wouldn't. So then I went into the kitchen to realize that he'd gone through an entire loaf of bread and a pound of butter. Experimenting.
Yeah, I had it worked out.
Well, at least you're thorough.
Oh no, I found out
He
what
was thorough.
The only thing that worked about making him not be able to land on his feet is you had to drop him from pretty low height and kind of throw him a little bit. He didn't like it though. So now, later on, I know the cat. He was great, Kitty. I'm sorry. I screwed with him. I tried to make it up to him later in life, but
Was this Jackson?
yeah.
Oh man, Jackson got a lot of crap from you.
Well, and all these guys hung out in my basement, so most of these guys remember Jackson. You guys all remember Jackson?
Yeah.
Clear Crew?
Yeah.
That was the cat that Bill threw off the balcony.
Wow.
I
We
was
just
like
triggered
4. I
an
didn't know what I
achievement.
was doing.
An achievement for you telling an embarrassing Bill story just triggered.
Okay. That's a good. That's right. I knew it was coming.
Also, keep it rolling because we're at $1,300.
I was about to say, since
Oh, were you already?
Since you
So
started,
keep going. Keep
hold
going.
on. Since you started
Keep going.
that story,
Yep.
we got another $600 in
Keep going.
donations
Holy
for your
cow.
second story. So,
So
we're
we
almost
should-
at your third.
It's too bad Morgan's not here.
I know.
All right, so I got to consult the list because I just can't tell that Morgan story without Morgan here. We can wait.
I don't know if
No,
Morgan will
Morgan's not
be
gonna show
here,
up today,
though.
I don't know.
He's got to drive. He's got to prepare to drive.
Right.
So
I was
don't know
gonna
if
say,
he'll be here.
you know, as much like I wouldn't let Bill drive IRL, nor would I let Morgan.
No.
Yeah.
I was in a car with him driving.
You said
so-
drive, it scared me a little, but you meant drive the bus.
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I was really worried about being behind a vehicle.
You're only
with
freaked
a
out when
combustion
you know.
engine.
When your safety's at risk.
So on the same theme of when I started to realize Bill thought a little differently than others, was we had a rule in the house: if you found money on the floor, you got to keep it. If you found it in the couch, you got to keep it, because presumably you were cleaning the couch. I did plant quarters in the backseat of the car so he would clean the car.
Smart.
That was
Yeah.
good. I thought it was a good idea. And then one day I caught him he was only maybe 3, in the bedroom shaking my brother's jeans so that all the quarters would hit the floor.
Yeah.
Because then officially they were on the floor. So I knew he liked money. And we had a Beckers, those people that aren't from Ontario, Beckers is like Max.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of things.
Or
Where
like 7-Eleven if you're not from Canada.
7-Eleven, right.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's where milk costs twice as much as the grocery store.
7-Eleven is in Norway.
Is it?
Okay.
It's all
And in
over everywhere.
Japan.
In
Well-
fact, 7-Eleven in Japan is it's like a higher
It's common.
it's like a higher class place than just like a corner store. It's like it's
Yeah.
a big deal.
You get
Well,
alcohol there too?
That's actually because 7-Eleven from Japan owns the worldwide 7-Elevens.
Yeah.
Oh,
7-Eleven
that's the
Seven and
premier.
I
Live
Holdings.
Holdings
Yeah.
is the mothership corporation.
Oh, okay.
So, there's another fact.
Where you know?
Another
So how
fact
far
for
are we
your-
up to the next one?
So anyway, so Bill's
Sorry.
got this little money thing. He's pretty young, and I give him, a little bit of money for allowance when he's not cleaning hidden money out of various places where I've hidden it. And I go down to the local Beckers, which is this store that I know Bill goes to with his loony allowance. For you guys are all born of the same era.
$1.
That's all he got.
Yep.
Yep.
And I get in there, and the guy says to me, "Is that little weird redheaded kid yours?" And I'm like,
Oh no.
"Yeah." And I'm like, I'm worried, right? Like, has he already figured out how to shoplift? Like, what is he doing, And the guy says, "Do you know he tips me?" And I'm like, "He what?" He says, "So yeah, about once a week he comes in and gives me a quarter as a tip." And I'm like, "As a tip?" He
Yep.
says, "Oh yeah, he thanks me for my service and he gives me a quarter."
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's
Yeah.
oh, they like you for that."
But then I'm skeptical.
No, it's true.
I am immediately suspicious.
No,
Why?
it's true.
I got money
but,
out of it.
Oh, that's
Sorry,
right.
no, I
Brad.
got stuff out of it too.
So what that got for him was the guy was so impressed that this little 5-6-year-old would come in and give him a tip that Bill got free stuff all the time. So he'd come home with free popsicles and candy, and I was like, "How can you afford that on your loony allowance, Bill?"
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "Oh, the guy gave it to me." And I was like, "Sure he did." And sure enough, it was because he used to tip him once a week that the guy gave him all kinds of stuff. I thought it was very enterprising for a 5-year-old.
That's awesome.
Very smart. Do you still tip gas station attendants for giving you popsicles?
No. I do not.
They thought you were cute there, buddy. Rather, see, it's a story not about you
Yeah,
eating something.
that was not so embarrassing. That was good.
Well, I couldn't think of any other foreign weird food you'd eaten lately.
Yeah.
You should have been here last night.
Well, because last year I told
A
the story of
Marmite.
him eating the frog, of him eating the glass,
Yeah.
And the shoe.
and the shoe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Two
true.
shoe.
And
On
we
a
now-
car trip, he ate his shoe.
We now
Well, we
have
can
enough
put the
money
shoe back
for
there with
a
me.
third story.
That's
We're
your
now
own
at
fault.
1,500.
Oh my
Perfect.
goodness.
So just keep on going. And
Well, maybe
hopefully by the
I'm
time
gonna
you're done
retell
that
the
one-
shoe story because the shoe story was pretty funny. So we're
Oh.
driving in Ontario, about a 5-hour car trip. Bill's got this great little pair of Converse, like running high top Converse that have little dinosaurs on them, and they're so cute and they're pretty new. And he's in his car seat. He's about 3, no, maybe not even that. So I'm driving, he's behind me in the car seat, and his sister's beside him. So, all's well, and he's quiet. So I'm thinking it's okay. And we get all the way up to North Bay, which is where we're headed. Those of you in Ontario will know where that is. And
It's cold.
Nah.
8 months of winter.
I get in, I start getting the kid out of the car, and he's only got the tops to his shoes. Like there's only the fabric part. And I'm like, but I put him on with a full pair of shoes when we left Toronto. Like I tied them up, like with rubber on the bottom. And I'm like, I said to his sister, I said, "Krista, where's Bill's shoes?" She says, straight face, she says, "He ate them." And I was like, no. She's like, yeah, he did. And he methodically chewed every piece of rubber off and swallowed it.
Did he bounce when you
And
dropped it?
I like that she didn't try to stop this.
No, my sister.
No,
no.
she did not. Actually, you're right.
There was
Well-
a sibling rivalry the whole time, you know.
He tormented her, Graham.
Yeah.
He
She was the.
much like how he's tormenting the net right now
By
with the bus
Driving
thing.
erratically.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just. Yeah.
Yeah, his sister. Yeah.
Did that rubber ever resurface?
No, the good thing is I
Well,
was faster than her.
surface is a.
You know.
Yeah.
I could always
He
outrun
was
her.
still wearing diapers at that point.
Ah, so you
So
were
it
able
was
to-
seen again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that it made it
The
out.
rubber was seen again.
You want to tell? I remember the story then. How about?
What?
Secrets. Secrets.
Secret,
I am
secret,
Rin.
secret.
I'm wearing a fez.
The coffee.
And scene.
That's good. The fez is good.
Thanks.
So Bill's cueing me to tell a story, a recent story of Bill, actually.
Oh,
Well, not that
Well,
recent.
not that recent, but
But
So is she want a freebie?
yeah, this is a free. Loading Ready Run started in my basement in a lot of ways. I
Yeah.
had rented a house where upstairs was adult land and the basement was teenage land.
We never
Everyone
went
down
upstairs.
Yeah,
No.
they never went if they weren't really allowed. The
we had a
rule,
whole different suite down there.
yeah,
don't
the
go
rules
kitchen.
were they had to consider it like camping. Bring your own sleeping, bring your own food, leave it cleaner than when you arrive.
And if they slept there, I made them do my papers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the paper route.
Yeah.
And most of these guys lived in my basement all summer long. Indeed, at one point, James's dad was dropping him off, and James said, "Oh, I'm just dropping James off
Just the
for
daycare. or
daycare."
something, yeah.
And then he tried to,
He
like, "Oh,
laughed.
sorry, I didn't mean daycare."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it's too late now."
Yeah.
But we had a family friend, kind of stepbrother of mine, this guy named Dalton, who was a pretty funny character, who also had a room down in Teenage Land, a place I never entered. They were like the trolls in the basement. They weren't allowed up.
Dalton was decidedly out of the age range for Teenage Land.
Yeah.
Decidedly.
Yeah.
Yes. He needed to come with an R rating.
Yes.
Yes. So
So-
Bill takes Psych 101. The first time he takes
It was,
psychology.
it was in the end of grade 12 because
Yeah.
he offered it.
And, I knew that wasn't really the best information for Bill to acquire, all that psychological stuff. So he takes behavior modification, or a part of it.
Yeah, classical conditioning.
So now it's summertime, and I had taken behavior modification courses in college myself, so I was familiar with the process. And every morning the same song would come on the stereo downstairs. And it took me probably 2 weeks before I realized it was the same song every day. So I went down and I said, "Listen, man, I know you're up to something, Bill. I know you are." And I said, "And if it's got anything to do with me, you're in trouble." He's like, "No, it's got nothing to do with me." And I'm like, "Okay." So I went back upstairs, and every day the same song came on the radio or the stereo at the same time. And I was like, I really wonder what he's up to. So poor old Dalton, quite oblivious to the fact that he was being tortured, Bill would put this same song, and if people want to know, it was Hold On by Santana.
Yeah.
Put it on, Dalton would get up and he would say, "Oh, I feel like a coffee."
Because she
Dalton-
made coffee because I wouldn't always make bad coffee.
And Dalton would come upstairs and make coffee and give one to Bill.
Yeah.
And this went on. Bill was crossing it off on the calendar.
Yeah. That all worked out.
'Cause
I
it
figured
takes-
it took a month to set in the new behavior.
Yeah,
so.
it takes at least 30 days
Yeah.
to set it in new behavior. So poor old Dalton, I'm sure wherever he is right now, if that song is
comes
playing,
on, he really smells
he is
coffee.
making coffee.
Yeah.
And
You used to put
indeed,
like nutmeg in the coffee and something like
and
that?
indeed, that song is on my iPod. And that song, when it comes on my iPod, I then have to think about Bill playing the song to torture Dalton and how to make coffee.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many days?
He did
Oh.
over 30.
Oh yeah, I got the 30.
Because I figured...
And then for a while it just,
yeah.
I didn't do it every day, but every time I'd want coffee, I'd just throw it on and he would laugh and he would just be like, he would just say, "I want coffee," and I wouldn't even say anything at the end.
And I figured if Dalton wasn't smart enough to figure out he was being brainwashed, then it was Dalton's problem.
Did you ever tell him?
Oh yeah.
It was too late then.
Yeah, it was already in there.
So yes, we did eventually
I
tell
didn't
him.
realize what I was doing exactly.
But it was the entire summer
pretty
long by
devious.
then.
We've cleared 108,000, by the way. Sweet. How's the rest of that challenge going, Kate?
We are sitting at 1,599.
Wow.
For the $5 challenge?
No,
Wow.
for the Bill's mom story.
How long is this $5 challenge going on for?
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Oh, okay. We got another a little over 10 minutes, 12 minutes left.
That should have been the evil babe. People are calling me an evil genius. That's okay.
So,
An evil.
do I
baby
have to tell
orphan.
one more story?
When we reach 2,000.
Excellent.
We're waiting for
Okay.
another.
You could tell
Because I may have brought a
$400.
photograph that I'm
Oh.
not sure where I left. It's
I
in a
don't
coat pocket or it's out in my vehicle outside the moon base, so I need to go fetch it, I think.
Do you know,
So
what,
that gives enough time for people to raise
Yeah,
another
yeah.
couple
do you know what we
$100.
found while we were cleaning the moon base?
The
Oh,
Bill
no.
the Bill dolls.
Yeah. Those are terrifying.
I know, and I was felt bad that they got left here because I'll
They are
take them
fucking
back
Okay.
creepy.
because they're definitely a little